the grandson of Right Thought, and welcome to the School of Marvelous Light. If you're not aware yet, there are two types of men vying for the affection of the Father, seeking to gain the approval of the Father. There are two types of men. There are brothers who are seeking the approval of their Father. And one believes that by the things that he's able to do with his hands and the things that he's able to acquire with his hands, he believes that his Father will love him. The other acquires things in a different type of way. He acquires them by faith. He acquires them through grace. You see? And these two type of men are two totally different type of men. And what you need to do today, brother, is decide which one you are. Are you that man who goes out into the field to go labor with your hands, to gather and to acquire? Or are you the one who's playing, who dwells in your tent? Which, if you were here for the last message, we understand what that means here at the School of Marvelous Light. It means to dwell in the grace of the Father and to seek what you desire by faith. Because as we know, that is what pleases the Father. And that is what he's constantly seeking for in the earth. And it's so rare to find in the earth that he asked that question, will the Son of Man find faith on the earth? And when he was on the earth, he often said, ye of little faith. If you just have a little faith, then you could do these things that you're so afraid of. You could overcome them. If you just had a little bit of faith. But oh, ye of little faith. You see it, little flock? Faith is something that's extremely rare on the earth. And though it seems that many people have it, many people profess to know it and have it, there are indeed few that find it, little flock. And our example is the days of Noah, as we were studying yesterday. That's our example to know that just how few there are who truly find it. The way to actually please the Father. And we know that it's impossible to please him without faith. So if you're that other guy who goes out into the field to acquire things by the work of your hands, then we understand that you cannot please the Father, even though you think that you are by doing those things. You see, little flock? You cannot. Because working with your hands doesn't require faith. You see it? And that's why you always see the dilemma in the scripture of those who seek it by works and those who sought it by faith. And those who sought it by faith are those who are justified. So if anybody's having any question about the differentiation between the two, so that you know which side you fall on, we're going to talk about it today. You see? So get your scripts, and we're going to go to the book of Genesis, chapter 25. The book of Genesis, chapter 25. We'll start at verse 19. And these are the generations of Isaac, Abraham's son. Abraham begot Isaac. You see that? And Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah to wife, the daughter of Bethuel, the Syrian of Padan Aram, the sister to Laban the Syrian. You see that there, little flock? So Isaac was 40 when he took his wife. So now these two men that I'm telling you about, they have not been born yet, but these are the parents of those two men. You see it, little flock? So now we're going to get some insight into these two men that are born, so we can see the different characteristics. And Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife because she was barren, just as Sarah was barren. You see it? Just as Rachel was barren. You see it, little flock? All right. And the Lord was entreated of him. And Rebekah, his wife, conceived, and the children struggled together within her. So what's going on here, little flock? And to those who know the scriptures, this is not unfamiliar. But like I always say, we like to put the car in a different gear and go a little faster and dig a little deeper. You see? So you may be able to glean some new information from this message if you hang along for the ride. So he says, he was entreated, Rebekah conceived, and the children struggled together within her. So there's a fight going on inside of her womb. You see that there, little flock? So now, if we take what we're reading so far and compare it to the world that we live in, then we could say the earth would be Rebekah. And in the earth, there are two different type of people, and they are struggling, okay, in the earth. You hear that, little flock? Like I've always said, there are only two types of people. You see, there are wheat and there are tares, okay? So continue listening. He says, and she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord. So she went to ask the Most High, what's going on with these babies in my womb? And the Lord said unto her, two nations are in thy womb, and two manner of people. So two nations are in the earth, and those two nations are two totally different type of people. You hear it, little flock? So then we see that there are two different types, and they're fighting one another. For some reason, they're fighting. Well, he says they're two manner. So that means they have two different type of way that they live. Remember what I told you guys earlier? One seeks to acquire things with the work of his hands. The other seeks to acquire things by faith. Now, if faith is little on the earth, then there are very few people that can actually comprehend what I mean by acquiring things by faith. Faithless people do not think you can acquire anything except through hard work with your hands and labor and toil. See it? But that's not the only way. There is another way. So there's a wide path that leads to destruction, and there's a straight, narrow path that leads to life. What is life? The spiritual mind is life and peace. See that? And the carnal mind is death. So I would say the wide path that leads to destruction is the carnal mind. And the narrow path that leads to life would be the spiritual mind. So that means that there are very few on the earth of the spiritual mind that acquire what they get through faith and grace. The other men are working, the ones that are going on the wide path to destruction, because there's nothing at the end of that path but death. The wages of sin are death. Okay? So now, the Lord said unto her, two nations are in thy womb, and two manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. Stop. Separated? So two different kind of people are separate. So then they're not the same. We read that. They cannot commingle and become one. We also see that. They're two separate type of people. You see that there? Let's continue. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people. So there's one nation of people who's going to be stronger than the other. So that means the ones who work with their hands and the ones who work by faith, one of those two will be stronger than the other one. Now, which one do you think will be stronger? Well, let's continue reading. And the elder shall serve the younger. So whichever baby comes out first is going to be a servant to the one that comes out second. You see it? All right, then. So then we can get some insight into which one is the stronger. Obviously, the younger is the stronger because the older is going to be the servant. So we see that he's not the stronger one. You see it? All right. So they're wrestling over rulership, supremacy. You see that there, little flockulators? They're wrestling over supremacy. All right. So watch this. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red all over like an hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. Okay, he came out red all over like a hairy garment. What does that mean, little flock? It means rough to the touch. That's what hairy literally means, rough to the touch. So then what is that telling you to the spiritual mind? What does that mean? It means sensual, therefore fleshly minded, the carnal man. He came out red and hairy all over. That represents a carnal minded man. Okay? Now, as we go through the scriptures, we should be able to see if he's of the carnal mind or spiritual mind, right? Well, all we have to do is go to the book of Obadiah and see the end of Esau. Because remember, the wages of sin are death. What does it say in Obadiah? There shall be none remaining of the mount of Esau. You hear it, little flockulators? There shall be none remaining of the carnal mind. See how I'm telling you what you need to be saved from is that carnal mind? Not anything else, not anything outside of your body. The carnal mind is actually inside of you. So that's what you need to wage war against. There are two nations in your womb, inside of your body. One shall serve the other. Which one are you serving? Huh? The carnal mind or the spiritual? Because one is going to be stronger than the other. And this is why I said there's a fight going on right now. See, a struggle, a wrestling. Isn't that what the scripture said? It's going on the earth for the supremacy of truth. And there is one on the side of faith, and then there are many on the side of works. Even if they don't think it's works. If it's fleshly, then it's works. You see that, little flockulators? All right, then. So that's the two worlds that are at war. And so when Yahusha come, he didn't go fighting anybody outside of himself. That's why it said he came into his own and his own knew him not. He came into his own because it's his own body. Same with you. You see it? And they didn't recognize. Why didn't they? Because they judge outward appearance. They judge carnally because they're in the carnal mind. And if you're in the carnal mind, you can only judge carnally. That's the thing you need to be liberated from because it only still kills and destroys. That's what the carnal mind does. And that's why when you seek to do something or set a goal, there's a voice that comes that says you can't do it. You're not this enough to do it. You need to do this first and then you'll do it. That's nothing but a liar. The Father's name is I am. Watch the spiritual man step in and crush that shit with faith. The Father's name is I am. Therefore, if he is something, then he's not trying to be it, nor does he want to be it, nor will he be. He is it. So then I don't need to take his name in vain anymore and lie about him. So I am that. I am. Isn't that his name? See how it goes? Not I want to be or I will be. But when you're working, you want to be. Or hopefully you will be when you work with your hands. Until it looks right to the eye or it looks perfect to you and your senses. But we're going to read about the senses today and how they can throw you astray. Okay? Let's continue. It's 111 right now. Interesting. All right. So the first came out red all over like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. Y'all understand what that means now, right? Carnally minded, to the touch, to the feel, see, to the senses. And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold of Esau's heel, and his name was called Yaakov, which means supplanter or usurper. If you don't understand the word, look it up so that you can understand it. Okay? Usurper, supplanter. And Isaac was 80 years old when she bare them. See that? 60 years old. And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man, dwelling in tents. Now, didn't we talk about this yesterday? That the word, what was the word we were talking about? Give it back to me, Abba. Hanan. There we go. Thank you, Abba. Hanan. Hanan means what, little flock? To rest in a tent. Remember we were studying this? It was the word for grace. So when God gives you grace, You go back to your room and you rejoice in there, thanking him for his grace and favor that he showed you. That's what you do when you're a kid, when your dad didn't whoop you, but he gave you grace. So when you went to your room, you went there rejoicing instead of going there crying because you got judged and you got whooped. See the difference in the attitude you'll have depending on what you get? So if you know you're good, then you'll rest in your tent. So that's what Jacob did, because remember, this is about faith. Faith is the substance of what you hope for. There's no evidence. So a man will look to see what's the work that you did that's got you resting like this. Well, there isn't any physical evidence of the work that I've done. I've done the work within. You think it's not work to stay calm. Well, then how come it's so hard for you to stay calm every day? You think it's not work to be kind, but how come it's so hard to be kind every single day when so much iniquity is abounding? You think it's not hard to be long suffering. Well, how come it's so difficult to be long suffering when you're suffering so much every day and suffering so much unfairness every single day and being used and despitefully used, matter of fact? Don't you think it's going to be difficult for you to remain there? That's the labor that you're doing. It's internal because the kingdom of heaven is within you. It's not outside of you. And as long as you're looking outside of you, then you're rejecting Christ, because Christ said, judge righteous judgment today. And if you go back to the Old Testament, the Father had to tell us to do the same thing when we said, hey, look at this man right here in front of us. He looks like he's the right guy for the job. God said, I rejected his ass. That's not who the right man for the job is. The only reason you think that is because of how he look, how he talk, how he stand, how he walk, and how he appears to your eye. So that doesn't require any faith for you to know the man, does it? If you trust him because of what you see, then it didn't require any faith, because it required the evidence of what you saw to say it was good. And that was a prophet of God that did that. And you think none of you niggas didn't did it. Y'all didn't did it. Y'all fall short of the glory of God. That means you ain't judged right on something and you thought something was good that wasn't. And then you tore your britches and then you said, well, God, maybe God was right about what he said when he said we don't judge right. Yeah, why don't you submit to his judgment and judge a thing by the truth of the matter and not how it looked to you, how much work it performs for you. A cunning hunter, it says there, and a man of the field. So he's always outside of his body, but the other man remains inside of his body, doing the internal work. The other man is doing the external work so that he can reap the benefits of temporary satisfaction. But the man that wants the eternal satisfaction remains inside of himself doing the internal work that's necessary, because Yahushua said, if you did a whole bunch of cleaning on the outside and made everything that you did on the outside look good, it doesn't matter, because your inside is full of extortion and excess and full of dead men's bones and stinking ass rotten shit. So guess what, guys? I think it would be wise if you clean the inside of your cup first and then the outside shall be clean. I don't have to clean the outside if the inside is clean. The outside automatically is, according to Yahushua, and I bear witness that his words are true. Now, the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, man of the field. Jacob was a plain man, dwelling in tents. And Isaac, here we go, loved Esau. Why? That's the key. It's not just that he loved him, guys. Remember, I told you that the boys are going to seek their father's approval because of two different types of way of working. Okay. So to the carnal mind, let's see which one the carnal mind loves. Let's see. Isaac loved Esau. Why? Because he did eat of his venison. Stop. So did it have anything to do with Esau's character as to why Isaac loved him? No. So then why did he? Because he ate his tasty rewards of his hands. It doesn't just have to do with deer meat either. Riches, money, fine apparel, nice things. That's if you have two sons, one is mammon driven and worldly driven, he will pull up in the Ferrari and say, hey, dad, look what I got for you. You don't think the dad's going to be happy when his son pulls up in the fucking Ferrari and says, look what I purchased because I'm on Wall Street making big ass dollars? course he's going to be happy when his son comes and says, hey, Dad, I bought you that beach house you wanted so much. I paid for it in full. Go have it. Of course his dad's going to love him for that. Can't you see it, little flock? All right then, because that's what the carnal mind is pleased with. Temporary pleasure, like eating a piece of fucking deer meat. Is that going to eternally satisfy you? No. But guess what the carnal mind does? It loves it, doesn't it? Yeah, it do love temporary pleasure. Now, if you don't believe that Isaac is using the carnal mind to decide to do this, we're going to see how the blessing turned out. Let's continue. But Rebekah loved Yaakov. So the spirit, see that we said there was carnal and spirit. So the left-hand brain, which is the conscious mind, is represented by Isaac in this case, the man in this case. Logical, see, reasonable thinking. My son brings me all these gifts and all this good shit. I love him for that. Reasonably, logically thinking, that makes sense. But you don't know the heart of your son? Well, the spirit only knows the spirit of a man. So Rebekah, who is representing the right side brain or the subconscious or the spiritual side, loves Jacob, who is the plain man dwelling in the internal world. Is God a flesh or a spirit? So then do you see what I'm trying to say here? God loved Jacob, but he hates Esau. Can you hear what I'm saying today or no? The spirit loves the spiritual man. The carnal minded loves, or Satan loves the carnal man. Isn't it easy to see? All right then. Now, watch this here. And Jacob sawed pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint. So he tried to get something with the work of his hands, and he couldn't get it. Did you guys happen to catch that? He went to the field seeking with his hands to acquire something to fill his appetites, and he couldn't find anything. You see it there, little flockulators? So what happens? What happens here? Let's see. And Esau said to Jacob, feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore was his name called Edom, which means red, which represents carnality. You're so carnal. Look what you're about to do, that you're so carnal. Watch. And Jacob said, sell me this day thy birthright. And Esau said, behold, I am at the point to die. I'm so hungry, I'm going to die. You hear that? And what profit shall this birthright do to me? What good is this birthright to me? I need something right now. What good is seeking something by faith like you? That's stupid. I want something to feel right now. I'm not patient. I know love is patient, but I'm not. I want it, and I want it now. Can you understand that? I will kill, I will steal, I will ramshack and shellackle to get whatever in the hell I want to have. Can't you guys understand that that's the attitude of Cain? That is the spirit of Antichrist. Antichrist is that other guy who's seeking to please God with the works, with miracles of his hands and the mighty works and showing you, look what I've done. And you're going to go, oh, wow, he must be of God. Look at the things that he can do before my eyes. God says, don't judge that way. But we can't help but do it. Then die. But I won't, because I'm faithful and true. What about you? And then they will say, well, grandson, how the hell can you say you're faithful and true? That's not my name, dumbass. It's God's name. See how you don't know any fucking thing, even though you try to act like the fuck you do? Well, you don't. That's God's name I'm talking about. Now, stupid ass, is God faithful and true? Yeah, he is, grandson. So then shut your stupid ass up. Get back into the back row back there and let me continue to talk to the little flock without any interruption here. See how you got to do the whack-a-moles, little flock? Gotta whack-a-mole their ass back down to the basement. And Jacob said, swear you'll give me that birthright. Then Jacob gave Esau, so we 33, and Jacob said, swear to me this day. He swore to him, and he sold his birthright to Jacob. So he sold it. Jacob didn't twist his arm. Jacob didn't do anything. I can tell you exactly what Jacob did. What about you? What do you think? What about you? What do you think Jacob did? He sought the birthright by faith. And if you seek something by faith, nothing can stop it from happening. I've told you guys that so many times. It seems like if people wanted to be free from something, they would find out how to do that. Well, I be telling you how to do it every day, but people don't know value, so they skip right on by and say, no, there's something else that I have to do something where I can see it, and that'll tell me that I have it. All right, we'll go right the hell on ahead. Go right on ahead. All right, so watch this here. Then Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage of lentils, and he did eat and drink. And he rose up and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright. So what did Abba say he felt about his birthright? He hated it. He despised it. So then that means if Jacob gets the birthright, then Esau shouldn't even be upset, angry, or mad about it, should he? No, I wouldn't say that he should be, but you know how the carnal mind works, right? Go to Genesis 27. And it came to pass, verse 1, that when Isaac was old and his eyes were dim so that he could not see, he called Esau his eldest son and said unto him, my son. And he said unto him, behold, here am I. And he said, behold now, I am old. I know not the day of my death. Now therefore take, I pray thee, thy weapons, thy quiver, and thy bow, and go out to the field, and take me some venison, and make, excuse me? He says, now therefore I pray thee, he says, and he says, behold, now I am old, and I know not the day of my death. Now therefore, take, I pray thee, thy weapons, thy quiver, and thy bow, and go out to the field, and take me some venison, and make me savory meat, such as I love, and bring it to me, that I may eat, that my soul may bless thee before I die. And Rebekah heard when Isaac spake to Esau his son, and Esau went to the field to hunt for venison and to bring it. So Isaac here is saying, I want to eat some of that venison before I die, so that why? What did I tell you about eating and drinking? What it does? It's the only way a man can be merry. What did Solomon say? All the days of a man vanity, let him eat and drink. So just a minute ago, y'all, the cops just came over here, was like, what are you over here doing? What are you standing around for? Are you doing some spray painting? What you doing standing here? You see that little flock? So I had to let them be on their way. Told them I was attending to the little flock preaching. They said, oh, well, have a good night. All right. So now we see, he said, go get that venison that I love. Come bring it to me. You see? He says, now therefore, my son, obey my voice according to that which I command thee. Go now to the flock, fetch for me. Oh, excuse me. I went too far. Where am I at? Okay, and Rebekah heard when Isaac spake to Esau his son, and Esau went to the field to hunt for venison to bring it. Bring me venison and make me savory meat, that I may eat and bless thee before the Lord before thy death. My bad, I'm skipping verse 6. Verse 8, now therefore, my son, obey my voice according to that which I command thee. Go now to the flock and fetch for me thence 2 good kids of the goats, and I will make them savory meat for thy father, such as he loveth. And thou shalt bring it to thy father, that he may eat, and that he may bless thee before his death. You see that little flock? So she says, go to get some goat, and I'm going to doctor it up and make it like it's good for your father. He ain't going to know no different. You see? All right, my bad, y'all. I had to move to another location so they wouldn't be bothering me too much. All right. So we left off about Rebekah telling Jacob to go get some goat, and she going to hook it up and make it like it's venison. You see? In other words, make it sweet and good to the palate, because that's all he's really concerned with, is the flavor, the taste, and everything else that has to do with senses. As long as it smells good, tastes good, look good, and everything, then it's going to be good as far as he's concerned. You see it? All right then. So watch this, little flock. And you shall bring it to your father, verse 10, that he may eat and that he may bless thee before his death. Watch this. And Jacob said to Rebekah his mother, Behold, Esau my brother is a hairy man, and I am a smooth man. My father peradventure will feel me, and I shall seem to him as a deceiver. Stop. Now, you often see people when they talk about Jacob doing this act, they speak about him as if he's a deceiver, don't they? They be like, man, Jacob was kind of wrong for what he did. Well, this proves the point of what I've been telling you all about how when the world doesn't know how to judge right, they call evil good and good evil. So in other words, when they see you do something that appears to be evil, they think that it is. But Abba knows that it is not. Don't you see it, little flock? Okay then. Okay then. I've explained this many times with many different people. David did it. He did things that looked unclean or looked unlawful, even though he was justified because the state of his heart. And as long as the state of your heart is right, then you're good with God. But people don't think so. They think when you do something that looks unlawful, then God hates you. That's not the truth. It's when you sin in your heart. It's the state of your mind. If you're carnally minded, then God hates you. Isn't that true? Okay, well, let's continue and see. So now, I will seem to be a deceiver, and I shall bring a curse upon me and not a blessing. And his mother said unto him, Upon me be thy curse, my son, only obey my voice and go fetch me them. And he went and fetched and brought them to his mother, and his mother made savory meat such as his father loved. Now, what does this mean, little flock, for you when you're spiritually minded? I told you, you acquire things by faith, not by the works of your hands. So now, when you do the thing the faithful way, which requires the Spirit to work on your behalf to produce the result, it's not, you don't know the how. You don't know how it's going to tell you to get it. But when it presents itself, it may look like you're doing something wrong. Oh my goodness. I don't know if people can hear what I'm saying, actually. I don't know if people can actually hear it. Jacob said, sell me your birthright. That's the proof that Jacob desired to have it, correct? But he didn't seek it by killing his brother or whacking his brother off and stealing his seat or anything, or hating his brother. He sought it by faith. And when I've told you, when you seek things by faith, you simply tell God what you want and why you want it. And God does the when you get it and how you get it. See? So Jacob is saying to the Spirit, well, I will seem to be a deceiver if I do it that way, won't I? No. I know your hand looks leprous, but your heart isn't. Oh boy. Continuing. Watch this. And he went and fetched and brought them to his mother, and his mother made savory meat such as his father loved. And Rebekah took goodly raiment of her eldest son Esau, which were with her in the house, and put them upon Jacob, her younger son. And she put the skins of the kids of the goats upon his hands and upon the smooth of his neck. Now, why is she doing this? Because what have I told you all? When you're in the carnal mind, you can only judge one way, and that is by sight, and by the hearing of your ears, and by the feeling of your fingers, and see, touch, taste, handle. That's the way that you decide and judge things as good or bad. So he wants to recognize Esau. So he needs to use his senses if he represents the carnal mind here, which he does. You see it? So he needs to use his senses in order to see who he's dealing with. That's not the right way to judge. So let's see if, because he couldn't judge right, that's why he was deceived. Not that he was deceived. He only was because he couldn't judge right. We're going to see. Watch this. And Rebekah took goodly raiment, we read that, and put him on Jacob, you see. And she put the skin of the kid on a goat upon his hands and upon the smooth of his neck. And she gave the savory meat and the bread which she had prepared into the hand of her son Jacob. And he came unto his father and said, My father. And he said, Here am I. Who art thou, my son? Who are you, my son? And Jacob said unto his father, I am Esau, thy firstborn. I have done according as thou badest me. Arise, I pray thee, sit and eat of my venison, that thy soul may bless me. And Isaac said unto his son, How is it that thou hast found it so quickly, my son? And he said, Because the Lord thy God brought it to me. See that statement? When you seek for something by faith, Abba will simply bring it into your hands without you having to do a doggone thing, because he does it. Yahushua said, I can of myself do nothing. So if I think I'm doing something by myself, I'm just tripping, because I can't do anything of myself. It is the Father who doeth the works. Can y'all understand what the grandson said, or can you not understand? Because I believe it's very clear here. All right, then. So now, and Isaac said unto Jacob, Come near, I pray thee, that I may feel thee. So he's going to trust in the senses of his hand. Touch. I told you that. That's what the carnal mind only can do. It can't do anything else. Spiritual things are discerned. So what you need to be paying attention to, Isaac, is the spirit of your sons, not their carnal abilities. But since you love the carnal abilities, the carnal mind does, well then guess what? You're going to use those senses of yours to judge. Okay, let's see. Whether thou be my very son Esau or not. And Jacob went near unto Isaac his father. Now stop, little flock. Don't you think Isaac, if he had doubt, then he should have known that it wasn't Esau? The fact that he had to say, Who art thou, my son? Should have told him right there it wasn't Esau. He shouldn't have any doubt. But anything done with doubt is sin. Anything done without faith is sin. This is what God is trying to teach us here. Isn't it clear and obvious? If you're touching with your hands, then you're not leaning unto the Spirit to tell you who it is. That's why you had doubt. You should have heeded to that Spirit when you heard in yourself, wait a minute, is that really Esau? You shouldn't even have any doubt there. But since you do have doubt, and now you're trying to do it with your hands, you're going to sin. So let's see. Let's see. And Jacob said, wait. Okay, and Jacob said unto his father, I am Esau, thy firstborn. Okay, bless me and blah, 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 right? And Isaac said, Come near, I pray thee, that I may feel thee, my son, whether thou be my very son Esau or not. And Jacob went near unto Isaac his father, and he felt him, and said, The voice is Jacob's voice, but the hands are the hands of Esau. So which one are you going to trust? Your hands. Now, is that the way God judges? No. So you see these results we're about to get. Watch this. And he discerned, see that word discern? Spiritually discerned or carnally discerned? He carnally discerned with his touch of his hands. Watch. And he discerned him not, because his hands were hairy, as his brother Esau's hands. And so he blessed him. And he said, Art thou my very son Esau? Does that mean he's doubting, or that means he's sure? He's still doubting, but he's still going to do it anyway. That's what the carnal mind does. That's what it does. And he said, Art thou my very son Esau? And he said, I am. And he said, Bring it near to me, and I will eat my son's venison, that my soul may bless thee. And he brought it near to him, and he did eat, and he brought him wine, and he drank. And his father Isaac said unto him, Come here now and kiss me, my son. Let's see if he's still doubtful. And he came near and kissed him, and he smelled the smell of his raiment. See how he's saying, Kiss me, so that he could smell him? And let's see. And he smelled the smell of his raiment and blessed. You see, and blessed him and said, See, the smell of my son is as the smell of a field which the Lord hath blessed. You see it? Therefore God give thee the dew of the heavens, the fatness of the earth, and plenty of corn and wine. Let people serve thee, and nations bow down to thee. Be Lord over thy brethren, and let thy mother's sons bow down to thee. Cursed be everyone that curseth thee, and blessed be he that blesseth thee. And it came to pass, as soon as Isaac had made an end of blessing Jacob, and Jacob was yet scarce gone out from the presence of Isaac his father, that Esau his brother came in from his hunting, and he also had made savory meat, and brought it to his father, and said to his father, Let my father arise and eat of his son's venison, that thy soul may bless me. And Isaac his father said unto him, Who art thou? And he said, I am thy firstborn Esau. And Isaac trembled very exceedingly, and said, Who? Where is he that hath taken venison and brought it to me? And I have eaten all of it before thou came, and have blessed him. Yea, and he shall be blessed. So then it's confirmed. You see it? And when Esau heard the words of his father, he cried with a great and exceeding bitter cry, and said unto his father, Bless me, even me also, O my father. So do you see that the one who actually didn't go do the work actually got the blessing, but the one who went and did all the work didn't get the blessing? How many times do I have to say it to you all before you actually accept that what I'm telling you is true? It's right there in front of your face, in case you're wondering. We're reading it right now. And when Esau heard the words of his father, he cried with a great and exceeding bitter cry, and said to his father, Bless me, even me, O my father. And he said, Thy brother came with subtlety, and have taken away thy blessing. And he said, see, faith is subtle. Watch what I'm about to explain to you, and then you tell me if I'm just making this up. I always tell you guys when I got locked up, and they told me I was going to be locked up for 90 days, and I was not. And the reason why I was not is because I worked subtlety on them niggas. And I sought what I wanted by faith, and I got it, and they couldn't stop it, even though they tried to by saying 90 days. I never did 90 days. So did they lie? Yes, because they are liars. And you have to believe their lie. And then if you do, then they're your master. But I don't serve them niggas, not one little tiny little iota of a bit. I serve the one and only living true God, who is I am. So I said I am free. And let's see if your 90-day little fantasy can fight against what I have said, which is I am free. Well, it fought and I prevailed. We wrestled and I won. Like I said, I'm always going to do, because I am always winning, aren't I? All right then, little flock. See how it's going? Watch this here. So Esau all broke down, all out of shape and everything, because he's sad. Now watch this. And Esau said to his father, 38, Hast thou one blessing, father? Bless me, even me, O father. Esau lifted his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered and said, and he gave him a blessing, one of which was the sword. You see that? All right. 41, this is the key. And Esau hated Jacob. So the working carnal mind of the hands and the flesh hates the spiritual man who dwells in his tent, or Yahushua who laid in that boat. It hates him. And that's why those men, even though they were on that boat crying, they still found space and time to look at the one who was asleep and say, Hey, you don't care about us or something? You see that? Isn't that interesting? See how they're hating what you're doing. They hate when you rest. When a nigga goes to work every day, live with somebody. You'll see what I mean. Live with somebody who has to go to work every day and you don't work. Go live with them and see how they're going to hate you every time they get up in the morning and walk past your ass snoring on the couch. And they're going to walk out that front door and murmur about you and completely hate your guts. I've been there so many times to see it, little flock, that ain't no need lying to me about it. I've experienced it myself too many times. They will huff and puff on their way out to work as you laying on their couch sleep. Just that simple. Well, I am what I am. You are what you are. You're a worker. I am not. I am free. So then go ahead on and work, and I'll go ahead and be free. And you'll hate me for that. I don't hate you for being a worker. I don't hate you. So why the hell do you hate me? Well, Jacob didn't hate Esau, but Esau hated Jacob. So there's my answer. When I'm spiritually minded, the carnal mind has enmity with me. It's just that simple. So it's going to try to convince me of a lie because that's the only thing that it can do because it speaks a lie, it speaks of its own. It cannot speak the truth, so there's no truth in him. So there's no need of me thinking that anytime a nigga of the carnal mind talks to me that he's speaking the truth. I don't believe you. I know you're lying, so then I look to the alternative. If you say I'm bound, I say I'm free, and then I win. So then it's that simple. I don't doubt if I'll win. I know that I am. That's simple. That's called faith. I know that I have acquired. I don't need to go do anything to acquire it. So while you're going to do the thing to acquire it, I'll just slip in your spot while you're out there working and take it from your dumb ass. Isn't that what happened? And you'll hate me for it, but you're going to hate me anyway. So it's all good. Go on and hate and work, hate and work, hate and work. I'm going to love and rest and love and rest and love and rest. I think love and rest is better than hate and work. What do you think? I don't know. Continuing, so your sword, you got that blessing. Now watch this 41. Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said, what, openly? Of course not, because the carnal mind doesn't want to appear nasty and stinky to people. It likes to appear righteous unto men. So he said this in his heart. So let's see, if you hate your brother in your heart, you're what? You're a murderer. So then he doesn't actually have to extend his hand to kill Jacob, does he? No, he hates him with a perpetual hatred. And so God hates him because you reap what you sow. You hate, you get hate in return. You love, you get love in return. You love much, you get much love in return. You hate much, you get much hate in return. Isn't it obvious? Okay, then. Watch this here. Watch this here. He says, he said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob. So when my father dies, then I'm going to kill my brother. See, he said it in his heart. So he's already a murderer. Because as we know, the spiritual mind judges that way. It doesn't judge whether you stretch forth your hand and kill or not. It judges whether you hate in your heart. That's a murderer. See, there's two different minds, two different type of men on the earth. Okay, then I'm making it clear in case you guys are still wondering about it. Right then, watch this. And these words of Esau, her elder son, were told to Rebekah. So if he said it in his heart, how did Rebekah hear it? Because she's the spirit. I just told you that. She represents the spirit. So the spirit discerns spiritual things. When you do something in your heart, then you've spiritually done it. And that's why when he says you commit adultery in your heart, then you've spiritually done it. And if you've spiritually done it, then you've truly done it. You haven't truly done it if you've done it in the flesh. You may be deceived and done it. But if you've done it in your heart, you weren't deceived. You did it willfully. And you did it out of the desire and the lust of your own damn heart. That's where the temptation came from. So if you get the lust out of your heart, then the temptation will die down, will go away. But the only way you can get the lust out is to have a transformation or a renewal of your mind, as the scripture says, and be converted. All right, then. All right. So these words were told to Rebekah, and she sent and called Jacob her younger son, and said unto him, behold, thy brother Esau, as touching thee, doth comfort, see that word, himself, purposing to kill thee. Comfort himself by killing you. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice, arise and flee. Let's just stop there. Well, let's read the next verse. And tarry there until thy brother's fury turn away, until thy brother's anger turn away from thee, and he forget that which thou hast done to him. Then I will send and fetch thee from thence. Why should I be deprived also of you both in one day? You see that there? Do you see it? So now, the carnal mind hates the spiritual mind. So when you're speaking spiritual things and preaching spiritual things, carnally minded, over righteous people who think they serve God are going to attack you. They're going to attack you, and they're going to attack you, and they're going to tell you to do some type of work. I can guarantee you. They're not going to tell you to do the work the grandson tells you to do. Every time I tell you to seek for something, I tell you to close your eyes first. Don't I? All right then. So then you know what kind of man I am. I seek for the things that I would like to have by faith, and I allow Abba to tell me when and how I get it. But when you work, then you know how and you know when. Well, then I guess you're playing God's part, correct? Seems like the Antichrist to me. Y'all hear this message today? So just know that that's what you're dealing with. You're dealing with either carnally minded people or spiritual. One or the other. It doesn't matter what race, it doesn't matter what color they are, it doesn't matter what hair texture, it doesn't matter any outward appearance. It does not matter, as we read today. That'll get you fucked up and have you judging wrong, as God always said. So y'all be blessed tonight, little flockulators. Shalom.